Welcome to In the Zone, your mental strength and endurance podcast, presented by sports psychologist Maayke.
Hi.
And myself, Thierry, endurance sports coach. So, Maayke, today we're going to talk about motivation.
Yes, very important topic.
Yeah, super important topic, especially these days, and as well at the beginning of the year, where we start to kind of normally plan our season, we have goals, and we should be fired up and motivated, right?
Yes, go for it.
But unfortunately, there's a worldwide pandemic, and the events are not looking great for this year, and sometimes people find themselves a bit in a dark spot. So we thought we'd bring you today an episode with motivation on maybe understanding what is motivation, maybe where your motivation comes from, what motivates you, and what could keep you motivated to find a new motivation.
Yes.
So perhaps we're kind of, you as a sports psychologist, if I came to you saying, look, I don't feel really motivated these days, what would you start by figuring out?
Well, actually, that's pretty realistic because that happens all the time.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that's a very fundamental question. I mean, if you lose your motivation, that's can be pretty problematic, and sometimes also people get very stressed by the fact that they have been motivated for years. They always had this drive, especially at the beginning of the year, looking forward to the new season, to the new competitions, and there's just nothing. So there's a lot going on in people's head, and psychological can be pretty tough.
Yeah.
So one of the most, I would say, important things we're trying to explore is what is it actually that motivates you? So why do you do your sport? What is behind what sources of motivation do you normally have, or what drives you to love what you're doing?
Yeah. But if we had to define motivation, how would you explain motivation? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot, but well, that's important to understand, right?
Yes. I'm not sure if that is something I would immediately explain people, because some people are. I mean, some of my clients are still very young, and they are especially very interested in how to get motivated again. But, well, I think that, how would I... Like, the source of motivation, we can...
No, it's good. It's like kind of... the way I see motivation is something that helps you to, let's say, perform or do something better, or to achieve something, to you have this maybe this energy. It's a kind of energy that helps you to perform a task. That's sports or work or whatever, So once we define this as an energy, or as a like it's an almost out of body kind of or mindful kind of power, we can understand better how that affects us as people and as in our performance.
Yes. So there are different sources of motivation.
Yeah.
So if you look at the theory behind it, we can say that there is something like intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. And the intrinsic motivation is something that really comes from within us. So that's the joy you experience when you're doing something, or being connected to others, doing something meaningful, doing something that makes you do things better, that improves you. That comes really, it's a source that comes from within. If we talk about extrinsic motivation, then we're motivated because of things that are outside of us, like rewards, for example.
It could be a race,
or more, let's say, prize, or because you're getting rewarded for something. So, and those kind of motivators or sources are less sustainable. Something that really comes from within you tends to stay longer and gives you more energy to continue.
Yeah. No, definitely. So how do we define let's say, how do you define if someone is more motivated, has more intrinsic or extrinsic motivation? Is that something you assess?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think what you could do is just make a list. So why do I do my sport? What is the reason why do I like what I do? So may I ask you, why do you do your sport?
So yeah, that's a very good question. I think when we had our first session together, I think it took me about 4 weeks to answer that question. So, and it keeps on evolving. You know, your why, I think for me really changes probably every year, I guess. For me, it's more of a triathlon arrived in my life as a health journey, you know, and it became a passion to basically be healthy, the better I could be, you know. So it started a kind of losing weight, looking good. You know, before I was, you know, going out a lot and you know, a little bit of overweight as well. So it's that my why was, well, I'd like to look good and lose weight. That obviously once that happened, I kept on going in the sport. So I guess my why changed as well with me not really thinking about it. And all of a sudden you want to do better at races. You want to place maybe, I don't know, a podium or something, or not a podium, but maybe top 10% or something like that. And you're starting to compete against friends, you know, so you want to beat them, you know, or something like this, or you want to then qualify for a special race, you know. So for me at the moment, it's really what drives me is still this qualification perhaps for Hawaii, you know. That's what I would really like to go for. But is it really why I do triathlon? You know, I haven't done an Ironman last year, and it's not, you know, I'm still in it, you know, and I still love it. So I don't really think it's one of the whys. It's probably not the why. I think I'd like to as well, you know, as my wife would probably laugh if she heard this, but I think I would also like to be a role model for my kids, you know, and that they know that I do what I love, and I have a passion, and that whatever passion that I want them to be inspired by my passion. But if they have another passion, be it, I don't know, ballet or golf or whatever sport or whatever not known sport, that's what I would like them to have. So it's kind of being a bit of a, that's why I just love to train. I love the lifestyle. So for me, training is a lifestyle, and that's why I love it. Yeah.
So everything you explained me now, there are parts of that motivation you can identify as something that really comes from you within you, and there are parts that are more externally. So like a race is something, it's outside of you. It's an event that's being organized, but for example, this year is probably not going to take place.
Yeah.
So if that would be your only motivator, then it's most likely going to, you know, decrease your motivation because you're missing the race. So you have many other sources of motivation, like showing how passionate you are and giving a good example to your kids. And you give meaning to what you're doing in a different way, rather than saying, okay, I need to do a race, or I have, this is the only reason why I'm doing that. So we have many, many reasons why we like what we're doing. And I think it's really important to just for the listeners, take a moment, sit down and make a list of that. Why am I doing it? And it's a process. It's quite complicated to answer that question. And there is no good answer, or there's no wrong answer. It's a process. So by writing your answers down, you will discover about yourself, and you will also gain more insight about what part of my motivation is really sustainable and will survive this pandemic, and what part is, you know, not very sustainable, especially not at this moment. So, and most probably everything that comes from external, you have to shift that internally. So you have to, try to find other reasons to do your sport and to stay fit, in fact.
Yeah, no, so it could be, well, the social aspect could be one of them, I guess.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, so we basically, because your question about motivation, where does it come from, is a pretty complicated one, and there are a few theories, very well-known theories, like the intrinsic and extrinsic motivation theory, but also the theory that motivation is connected to our emotions, so it will elicit certain emotions, bad or good emotions, and everything that triggers the good emotion will be sustained. So if I, for example, go into the mountains, which I love, I feel so good. So it's very likely I will repeat that. If I don't feel good, it's very unlikely I will repeat it. So it's very basic. And the other part is that what drives our behavior is very much based on our needs. So what do we need? We need very basic food and water to survive. But then we have many other psychological needs. The fundamental needs is the need to be connected to other people. And that's why people are much more motivated to work out in groups than alone, for example. Or the need to feel competent. Recognition is something that will come from outside. So that's again very interesting. If you are looking for recognition and acceptance from others, that can be a motivator, but it's not very sustainable. But the need to feel competent means you will most likely be more motivated if you do something you are good at.
Yeah.
So yes, challenge yourself. You have to be. So there is also this fine balance between doing something you're very good at and doing something you are, challenged in, because otherwise you can also lose your motivation if you're too good at it, if it's too easy for you, for example. And then the third thing is also you want to stay in control. So people want to feel that they are in control of the situation, and that's basically what's now we're losing control. In this pandemic, we lose all the structure. We don't have any training anymore, we don't have any races anymore. So all of a sudden, everything we counted on, we've lost. So, and that creates a lot of anxiety, that creates a lot of unknown, which is for the brain very unhealthy. Yeah. We hate it when we don't know what's next. So that is definitely something which makes us less productive and less motivated. So we have to create a new structure for ourselves. So first part is find out your why.
Yeah. So number one is the why. We always go back to that. I think every single podcast we've talked about the why. And it's true. No, it's the most important question that you should ask yourself, basically. Yes. Why do you do this sport?
Yes,
or
exactly.
Why do you want to do this?
Why?
Or,
Why do you like it? What drives you?
So let's say we've found our why.
Yes. So a list. My why, for example, I love to go out in nature, explore new routes, feel happy, feel light, empty my head. That's my why for the moment. I mean, my why has been different when I did triathlons, but there are no triathlons anymore. So my why is different. I list it. And then you need to find a new structure. Because if you cannot train, then what can you do if you cannot train in the pool, for example, or in the fitness? A lot of...
no, for sure. If your passion is swimming, and now the pools are closed, you can find all your whys, but I mean, you still can't, you still can't swim.
No, exactly.
So that's a bit of a bummer.
Yes.
But how do you get over that and stay motivated to? I mean, it must be terrible for. Yeah, so many sports are really penalized these days. And I guess. But is it then the motivation that is lost, or you are a bit lost in a way? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So because you might still be very motivated, but you just can't do your sport.
Yes.
So it's difficult to. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's probably another topic. But so let's see.
So we have the why.
You have the why.
Yeah.
Exactly. So next step.
I think very basic. You need to set objectives.
Yeah.
So what do you want to achieve and by when? We talk a lot about SMART objectives. Maybe if you've heard of it.
Well, we talked about it
in the last podcast.
Yeah, in the planning.
Yeah, exactly. So what was it again? Specific. Each objective needs to be super specific. So I want to be able to do 25 push-ups within now and 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay? It has to be measurable. 25 push-ups, it's measurable. I'm simplifying. Maybe. So you have to ask yourself, is it measurable? So you need to make it very specific and measurable. And then attainable and realistic. So it has to be realistic. So if I'm saying I want to do 100 push-ups in 3 weeks, I'm never going to make it.
Work, yeah.
No. And if you're not sure, maybe ask a friend or a coach to help you to make a planning that is attainable and realistic. And time-bound. So you need to know by when. I want to do that within 3 weeks. What is your objective at the moment?
My objective, we have... My goal in theory is an Ironman in June. But, that's unlikely to happen, let's be honest.
I hope.
I hope it will, but... can't swim, right? Cycling is great. It's okay. I can do lots of it, and running's fine. But it's right now. My goal is actually I'm just having a ton of fun on Zwift. Yeah. So it's indoor cycling, racing basically, and just doing my workouts to improve my racing on Zwift. So that's my objective these days. Is have I set myself, like you said, a very smart goal? No, I haven't personally, because I don't want, again, maybe to put too much stress into that. I'm just having fun, basically. So I guess my objective is to have fun, actually. Yeah. So there you go.
It's very easy measurable, because you either have fun or you don't have fun.
Actually, it's true. And actually, I'm having a ton of fun. So that's my goal. And actually, I'm getting fit in the process as well by doing that. So it's and the great thing about, you were saying there's no racing. There is racing. There is racing going on. There's lots of different ways of sorry for anybody watching us on YouTube. Unfortunately, it's we have camera problems.
The camera is moving.
No, it's just that we have the connection is just gone, so I have no video. Okay. So what were we talking about? My objective. Yeah, so my objective is just have fun on Zwift and complete, like I told you, the challenges on Zwift. Yeah. That's and the day the racing can happen, I can kind of easily switch my training to a more triathlon specific. But I think if I was going full gas for this triathlon, and then you sacrifice a lot, you do a lot of and then it's cancelled, you're pretty disappointed.
Yes.
So I'm not trying to go that avenue, basically.
No, exactly.
So
but for the people who are really demotivated, I would really recommend to start with the SMART. Yeah. With the SMART, defining very specific objective by when, and trying to plan that. And what we should add to these SMART goals is the question: who is going to help you to keep to support you and to hold you responsible?
Yeah.
So either a friend or a coach. Best is just a friend, to do it together with a friend, and to say, look, we keep each other responsible, accountable for our objectives, and we push each other. We help each other to do so. And research, I think, has shown that if people help each other and keep it and hold each other accountable, the success rate is 95%. So it really helps you to be not on your own with your own objectives. Yeah. So I think that is also something that definitely will help. The other thing is, I always say, try really very, very short-term objectives. I know that we often tend to work with long-term objectives, but especially in times such as now, it's very important because our brain prioritizes instant gratification over long-term goals. And that's why if you come home and you're tired and hungry, you're just, you sit on the couch, you take a bag of chips and you're going to watch television. I'm not saying everybody's doing that, but that's something we all will recognize.
Yeah.
That's much easier than changing, boosting yourself to do your workouts. So to avoid this, first of all, manage your energy levels during the day and be with the objective. So if you know that at 5 o'clock you're going to do your workout, then make sure you already have your clothes ready. But today we're all working from home. Sometimes might sound super silly. I've already had my jogging or my running clothes on
some people sleep with
morning.
It. No, but some people sleep in it.
They sleep in it.
So that you know that the first thing in the morning you have to,
So it's just you take away all the hurdles, you manage your energy throughout the day, you eat enough, you drink enough, so that you're not just, completely wasted by the time you have to do your workout.
So it's about, again, we come back to a bit of planning.
Yes.
Preparation, basically.
Yes.
You need to have, when you set your objective, you want to say, okay, my goal is to do this amount every. So I've got a good example of one of my athletes who his main problem over the last few years has been to be consistent.
Yes.
And it sounds stupid, but we have a goal that until I think it's for the first 6 weeks of our program, all I care about is that he does the workout. There's green, basically. It's not even a specific, ride at X% or whatever. No, it's just we selected races on Zwift, and basically it's like two events on Zwift and 2 runs. Yeah. And you can build in just basically doing it. I don't care about whether he's running at 4:30 pace or 4:45 or 5 or 6. It does. I really, really don't care. Same on Zwift. There's going to be one which is going to push himself a bit because he's part of the racing that we do, and the other one is just for fun and more completion.
Yeah.
And that's the goal.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, when you find yourself in a bit of a limbo and you just don't really know, you lose a bit of purpose because your race is gone.
Yeah.
Just having that planning and ticking off the workouts is a great tool.
Absolutely, because it will make you feel good.
Because you're accomplishing something.
You accomplish something. Yeah. And that's why it's all about this instant gratification. The brain needs that. That's why we want to sit down with a bar of chocolate. Yeah. Because it makes us instantly feel good. But then after you're, maybe feeling a little bit less good.
You need to go on the bike.
But imagine then if you can override that feeling with just this action directed behavior where you put on your clothes, or you already have them on since last night, and you just get up and you make it happen, and then you feel so much better about yourself. And not only feel better about yourself, but if you are able to build that up over the weeks, your self-confidence also will increase. So there are many spin-off effects. Not only you're getting fitter, not only you feel good about yourself, but your self-confidence will also increase. Yeah. So it's just a matter of changing habits will take time, but you can help yourself by putting in place routines, taking away the hurdles. One very funny trick is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 trick, where you sit down, you don't want to work out, you're sitting on the couch, feeling super tired, drained. You just imagine, you close your eyes, you imagine launching a rocket. So the rocket is being launched in 5 seconds, you count down, and at second 0, you just go, because this is what you visualize. The rocket goes, you go.
Oh, okay.
So it's Mel Robbins, by the way, who invented this. Very easy. And works. Yeah. It just will boost you to get up and just get going if you really have a hard time doing so.
So this routine, in a way, or new routine that we're trying to put in place.
Yes.
will help us to find again some new motivation, I guess, and then maybe a purpose to train. And I think what we said is really good about the small milestones or achievements or goals that we can do. And I have this with a few of my athletes where we say, okay, by March we want to have that FTP in bike, or by March I want to run this 5K in X amount of time, because there's a lot of things that you can do on your own. You don't need necessarily a race to do that. So setting these small objectives, I think, work really well.
Yes.
I had one guy who basically wanted to do his first triathlon, but it's gone. So we did a duathlon indoor. So it was a
fantastic.
Run, bike, run, and I set up the course on Zwift, and he did it, and he completed his first race. Okay, it's virtual, but still the first race, and that's you can. So I think by doing that, you can still find very challenging goals, challenging goals actually.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So improving, your racing on, it could be on Zwift or whatever. I don't know. But what if you are, is that really a problem if you're really race driven again? Is that something that's going to be even harder? Are there different levels of kind of adaptation and to find this motivation? Maybe some people could go through a hole in like 2 months or 3 months and they just can't see the end of the tunnel, and some others can just basically switch within a couple of days and they go, all right, fine. What's your experience in terms of the
well, the first confinement, maybe it was okay-ish because nobody knew nobody anyway knows how the future looks like, but there was some kind of optimism. We can do this, this will change the world, this will change maybe us, so there is some kind of optimism. But you see now people are just losing their willpower. It's just like they really do not know, and especially if you are like a very ambitious athlete, even if you're not elite, but everything that's next to that, those people, they are also losing their dreams, because if they lose another season, then what will be after that? So that, and it's about the unknown. So the brain doesn't like the unknown, and it will create some anxiety, and it will find ways to, let's say, protect itself, and it definitely ends up in being less productive, feeling less motivated, feeling less energized. So there will be a psychological fatigue that also kicks in at a certain point of time. So yes, I would say that maybe not everyone. I cannot say that because I don't know the numbers. I don't know how people feel at the moment, but I think most of us do have a hard time keeping some structure.
So I see it, to put it more in a concrete example, with the athletes that I have. I see that the ones which are cycling, so I've got basically runners, cyclists, triathletes, and most of my cyclists and triathletes will have joined my event on Zwift. So basically, again, you've heard me talking about Zwift all the time, but it's every Tuesday night we have a race, and it's a league. So we have 2 teams now. Last time we had only 1, now we have 2. And so there were 12 of us on Tuesday racing together. We're on Discord talking to each other before the race and during the race as well. And at the end we just chat about the race, and it's really fun because we are racing together. And actually we had one guy who's racing from New Zealand. Okay, so, and I have a guy in the US, that could join. So the great thing about Zwift is that it's so international. Anyway, so it's a big team, and people were just are really enjoying it.
Yes.
Because we're connecting. So we are racing. So there we have a purpose. They know every Tuesday night we have this race, and we got this togetherness and this thing to look forward to. So I see there's a lot of improvements and a lot of focus and dedication from these guys.
Yeah.
So the ones, because they start the race and they go, oh god, my ass kicked this race, so I'm motivated to do better, and they're training and ticking the boxes and doing it, and then I want to get better, I want to get that league. But for the athletes which are kind of just training for a race that might or might not happen, especially with the runners, for example, it's a lot more difficult to find that consistency.
Yeah.
And there isn't that drive that I see with the athletes who are racing on Zwift, with that connection with other people.
Yeah, but you see what happens here? The Zwift provides us the context, the environment where we can feel kind of in control. So we ride together. That's the other thing. It's the connectedness. It's doing it together, which gives an enormous energy, especially now when we really need it. And within the environment of Zwift, within the virtual world, we have all the parameters that we need to feel in control, and that we somehow feel that we are progressing. We're doing something which makes sense. We're doing something because it makes sense, because we're doing it together. It makes sense because I'm just a little bit faster than you are. It makes sense because I love to get kicked my ass, because then tomorrow I can do better. So all of a sudden, sense comes back where we lost it, because there was this context, the structure was gone. So I think it's very good what you're doing there. And
so it's and what is great is that, for example, I've got guys who are signed up for Ironman like myself, and I mean, at the moment on Zwift, for example, it's all about the sort of 1 minute power. I don't want to bore everybody, but if you have a really strong 1 minute power, then you can do well in Zwift racing. But I mean, 1 minute power in an Ironman is
nothing.
Absolutely useless, So I'm training myself and some of the guys who are doing Zwift to get better at Zwift. But that's really not the objective of these people, because in the summer they want to do endurance and long races. But then you can easily switch. If all of a sudden, let's say, best case scenario, well, we're all vaccinated and we're all healthy, if the coronavirus is gone in May or June, and we can race. Well, my guys will very quickly be able to adapt to the endurance. So we can say, look, if things are open again, right, we just do a little bit less cycling, because we do a lot of cycling now, no swimming, and more, so cycling is taken over. But we can easily switch that very easily.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, and they're going to feel fresh as well, because it's a different type of training. They've done really hard work on this with racing, and you switch to a more endurance and a more slow pace and things like that. So it's all about being flexible and being able to adapt to the challenges. I guess it's like in a race, isn't it? Where something's going to go wrong in your race. How are you going to adapt and find the answer to that challenge? Can we draw parallel with the current situation?
Yeah, yes and no. Yes, I think you're totally right. We have to adapt, because otherwise we won't be able to survive.
Yeah.
Where is no parallel or difficult to draw one, I would say again, when you're in a race, there is a finish line. We do not have a finish line currently. And because we don't have...
For some.
Well, I think this pandemic is so... it's unclear.
Yeah.
Every time there's news...
No, I mean, finish line of the pandemic, I agree. But I mean, finish line in terms of... I mean, I'm racing every week. I'm getting my fix in terms of connection, whatever. For me, the pandemic could go on for another 2 years.
Yeah.
I will still train and I will still be happy about that. You see what I mean?
Fantastic. But you're giving the answer to the big question. How can I motivate myself?
Yeah.
So you have to create a new environment, a new structure for yourself.
That's what I talk about, this adaptation.
Yes. Very good. Yeah. So create, maybe we can talk in terms of more symbolic.
Yes.
Create new finish lines for yourself.
Yeah.
So create new challenges and new structure, basically.
Yeah. Well, these new goals, these smart goals that we talked about.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and would you really say that motivation will then arrive? How do you it's really difficult to tell, because for someone who maybe has a strong passion for, let's say, swimming, and all of a sudden you tell that person, okay, well, take on running. I don't know. Is that it's really difficult for the people who cannot do their sports. It could be like a Pilates class or yoga class, and all of a sudden there are online things, but it's not the same thing, I guess.
I look, the many athletes cannot do anything at the moment. The question is, what I especially in the beginning, I asked the athlete, what would you really regret if you would not do it if the pandemic is over? So I most say, I still want to progress. I know I cannot do my sport. I cannot swim, for example, but I would really regret if I would not stay fit, or if I would not be ready to get into my drill again, or my fitness again, if I am able to go back. So then that is an objective. So then the question is, what do you need to do to stay fit? And the other thing is, no one else is able to train. So there's no way So you have to take a little bit of a step back and look at the complete picture and say, look, no one else in my age category is able to train at the moment. So just, stay calm and set yourself new objectives. And one of the main objectives is to stay fit. And if that is what you want, then try to stay fit. You can do anything as long as you don't injure yourself. Maybe you shouldn't stretch too much, but stay fit. And within that context of staying fit, you can try out new things. You can try to learn something new or really challenge yourself. Ask your coach. Stay connected online. Work out in small groups, because you're still young people, or still if they can go to school, they can also go and train or run together in small groups or groups of 3. It's all possible.
Yeah.
It's you have to be creative, and you have to really want it. And you have to be kind for yourself. We call it self-compassion. It's super important. Self-compassion is, it doesn't mean it undermines your motivation by saying, you should not confuse it with giving up because you're tired, for example. Self-compassion is really that you ask yourself, there are moments that I'm not motivated, but then what would I need to still get it done? You see where... Yeah. Okay. So you're asking yourself, how can I help myself? What can I tell myself? Or what do I need at that moment when I'm actually about to give up, or not get up out of my couch and just put on my running shoes and go for a run? So what would I need? I think that's also very important part of the work you can do.
No, totally. Yeah. So to kind of sum up, unless you have other points you want to mention, but is there something else you want to add to the...
I think we have
covered quite well, huh? Because I again, not to oversimplify things, but you have to, step 1, like we said, is understand your why you do the sport, or you do your activity, or anything in life, I guess.
What comes from inside, and what comes from outside. The outside. Yeah. Yes.
Make a list.
Make a list. Yes.
Yeah, and like you said, I think it's a really good exercise to make a list, and even there's no stupid answers.
Totally not.
Yeah, make that list. Understand the why you do something.
Understand the why. And if you see that many things are award driven, incentive driven, then ask yourself, can I change that? Is there something in me that can be a source of motivation, like having fun, becoming stronger, staying fit?
So, number 1, find the why. Number 2, make some goals. Have some smart objectives or goals.
Yes.
Short terms.
Very short term. Yeah.
Some very short, but I guess some medium terms could be fine as well.
Yeah,
or
but
even
they all fit in the longer term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And number 3, planning,
Plan,
preparation,
plan,
and planning.
Prepare. Do everything to take away the hurdles you see. Energy hurdles, lack of friends around you to motivate you. Find a way. Do it together online.
Yeah.
Stay connected through.
Yeah, I guess once you've done your workout, share it, talk to others
Yes.
about it.
Yes.
That speak about it, chat, share what you're doing. If you're proud of your achievement that you've done, speak to you.
Exactly.
Try to connect in a way with other people.
Yes.
That are going through the same phase.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So that's so that's, I guess.
And self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. But no, don't give up. But just give yourself what you need to get it done.
Yeah. Sometimes we are too harsh on ourselves.
Also, that's the other way. But many people are also too kind.
True.
You can never be too kind to yourself. Let me correct that.
Yeah. Okay.
But
no, I see what you mean. That's back to our suffering episode.
Just do it. Nike has this beautiful.
No, but I think again, understanding your why, having some short-term objectives, preparing, planning, ticking off all these workouts, and getting this new routine will definitely, you'll find big motivation again. You'll find that motivation along that journey. It might not come right away. It's not like, I know my why, now I'm motivated. No, it will maybe come eventually.
Yes.
But it will come.
Yeah. And for the people who really feel very, very stuck, be very, very flexible with yourself as well. So don't commit to a huge training program. Just understand also that, for example, going 4 times for 10 minutes brisk walk is as good as a long walk, for example, or small. Even if you are only able to jog for 15 minutes in the morning, you've already done so much more than nothing.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. You don't need to do a huge amount to do.
No. Just go for a run for 15 minutes. Go for it. Go for it tonight.
Yeah.
See how it feels. No, honestly.
Yeah.
It changes everything.
All right. Okay. So motivation. That's it. So, guys, let us know. Are you motivated? Are you not motivated? What's going on? What drives you? We'd love to find out. Please send us some feedback, some comments. We'd love to hear from you. So next topic, I don't know what we're going to cover, but we'll find out. Let us know if you want anything specific. But I guess we'll have some interviews probably coming up soon. And some more things coming your way. So thank you very much. And we'll see you another time. Thank you very much. Well, actually, we'll hear us another time because the video didn't work today. Excellent. And that's it. All right. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye. Bye.